Good evening, everyone. It is the Monday night. Oops, it's the Monday night family show.
I think it's actually
And
morning for you.
I'm in Monday morning. No, I'm in Tuesday morning and you're in Monday night. We're in two
Yeah.
different we're doing actually this is doing a show into the future. Anyways, guys,
How is it there? Is it fairly sunny? Yeah.
it's a starry night. There's some overcast coming. There could be a chance of rain on the way, but we are enjoying our evening. We wanted to do this a little differently tonight, make it a little more fun, a little more festive.
Excuse me.
And we've got some people on, and I always say this show works best, guys, when you participate. Tonight might be a tricky one because we're going to really need you guys to help talk about some things tonight because some nights are easier than others, and tonight I feel like tonight could be a struggle. JD Teal says, "Hey everyone." Shane Dennis says, "Good evening." David Hirschi says, "Good evening, everyone." Michael Peebler says, "Hey now." And Kristen Marshman says, "Good evening." Well, good evening to you all. Before we start off, I just want to remind everyone here's a super reminder. I got to give you the reminder of the night. The Emil Denny sale that is running right now at Feathers Elite Pigeon Auctions, right here, this one here. The last two lots in the sale, the last two lots, lot 6 and lot 7, is a hen and a cock. They were paired together and they produced a one loft winner, a top bird out of 1,700 pigeons, I believe. So I just wanted to give you guys the heads up so you all know. So you didn't say I didn't tell you. But that's for that right there. And we also have running right now at Feathers Elite Pigeon Auctions Team Vandeposh. Yes, that's it. Team Vandeposh. And probably you could say the pigeon of this sale will be the lot number 4. Okay, for all of you people not having a clue why I'm saying lot number 4, if you could tell me in the comments why I'm saying lot number 4 is your home run pick of the sale, let me know. Ricky, how you doing?
Good. And we call it the family show, and because families are are people that are fairly close to each other, but also in a family, you could tell your brother to go f off or your dad, but you come back, it's everything's good. 20 minutes later, it's good. So this is why we call it the Pigeon Family, call it Family Night Show. So, everyone can feel free to say what they want, have a question, don't be embarrassed. Um, and away the show goes. Um, I was watching the auction that you had last evening with Chris DeBacher there,
Mm-hmm.
and I was very impressed. Uh, I'm saying the quality in birds at the Pioneer auctions.
So
It is
Feathers Elite auctions. We don't do
or
Pioneer
Feathers
auctions.
Elite. Sorry,
Follow the ball.
Feathers Elite. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll take that back. Feathers Elite auctions. But uh, I seen Anime Van He was bidding on one of the birds, and that person is a third generation, top notch Belgium flyer.
Yeah,
So
she
this
was definitely
that
interested.
yeah,
That's
that's
good.
interest. That impressed. I was quite impressed by that in the Feathers Elite auctions.
Well, I
Um,
thought it was quite nice how she bid under her name, which that shows you the kind of confidence. But again, it was nice because I went to Chris DeBecker's. I went to Van Hees on Saturday afternoon. I was there all day afternoon on Saturday, and I had to go to Chris's in the evening. And I had Annamie's birds that we had selected. We selected them about a month ago, but then I went and picked them up. So I went to pick them up, and we had an afternoon together, shooting the shit, and going down old memory lane, and because I want to put together a very good Van He interview, because she just has so much information inside of her head about her father and her grandfather, and she's gonna slowly she's gonna bring out some stuff for me to film, and we're gonna interview her about the story of Van He, a little more in depth, a little deeper into how the family became so fantastic in pigeon flying. But I went from her place to Chris's, and then I had dinner with Chris, and Chris wanted to see Annami's birds, and he picked out two or three that he really, really liked. And as Chris said, Annami is no joke. He says, I think because she's a woman, she doesn't maybe get the big respect. If it would have been her father, I mean, he said, if it would have been her father or grandfather doing it, you wouldn't be able to afford the pigeons. You would, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
because it's Anime, and I mean she's doing really good, that people try and I think kind of undermine. I mean, she had her first national. Another top Belgian won a first national, and Herbots went and offered him 50,000 for the pigeon, and she turns around and wins the same first national. They offer her 20. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's a little.
Yeah.
You know how it is in the world of business, and everyone's each to their own. But I know she has some really good pigeons. She doesn't live in a good spot of all of Belgium. She's in a corner, but when it's her time, she's right there and she does good. So, yes, the question was, oh, Gang One says Gang One wanted to say, you okay? Glad to see you, Richard. Hope you are well. Ricky is doing well.
Well,
Thanks,
thank
Gang
you
One.
very much. It was a little dangerous this week. We had freezing rain here, and going up the Twisted Sister on that aluminum ladder, uh, I really had to use my, you know, I've been going up there for some 25 years. So, I've been up there in all kinds of weather conditions.
Yeah,
And yeah, at one
her,
time I could go up and down and in 16 seconds,
yeah.
go up that ladder,
And we got that on camera.
grab a
We got
bird.
we got to find it. It's somewhere in our archives of cameras. We did a whole show on it. Gang
Yeah,
One also says, "Black Sophia, I love the dark pigeons, almost black. Yes, yes, yes." Michael Peebler says, "M Law, yes, Murphy's Law for your lot number 4 on Team Vandeposh." Gang One says, "LOL, Rich." Zach, hey Zach, how are you? I think that's Mike Green's son. How are you doing? JD Teal says, "Are you going to go to Verkaman, Braden?" I'm not sure. You have to wait and see. I got a lot of people lined up. I don't know, maybe another 20, 25 people lined up. All different people, all different ones. I mean, like we say, in the first,
excuse
I
me.
would say 10 auctions here we've done. If you can't find pigeons that'll improve your program, I don't know if we ever will. You know, this is the thing. Uh, it's hard to get to everyone, and sometimes it takes a year or two of knocking on doors. Like with Chris DeBecker, I was there a year ago, and I had to wait a year, and it was good that we waited. Henry Rather says, "Good evening, Pioneer Gang. Good evening, Henry. Henry, get up to the Pioneer Loft, please, my friend. You got your birds to pick up, and we got to get them moved on. Again, guys, here in Belgium, fun fact: pigeons. Take care of your pigeons. It is €3.50 per pigeon per day. Okay? €3.50 per pigeon per day. So if you have 20 pigeons, how much is that per day? Do the math, guys.
They gotta let you know something. Henry has already picked his birds up, and that's great.
Well, you know what though? This is a good thing because this is what they charge people. So when someone says to you, just listen, will you take care of my birds for me? Here in this country, it's €3.50 a day. That's what they charge you to be a
Yeah, and
pigeon hotel, right? Pigeon hotel. So
yeah.
you know, we have a gentleman's birds that dropped off his birds in the summertime, right?
It was
It was in the
actually
spring. It was in the spring,
April.
in April, and I know he watches. I still have your birds. I've taken care of them all for free. I don't don't understand the
You're not
people.
running an orphanage.
Yeah, we're not running an orphanage here. Big Nance is in the background. She's spinning the
She's
ones
in
and
the
twos.
background. She wants to
She's
come on
giving
the show.
she's
Nancy,
giving
come
her
on,
two
get
cents.
on the chair here. Come on the show. I got the
she's
chair right here. Come on.
she's given her 2 cents on it. But I do find it funny when people ask you to take care of their birds and they can't even. I don't know if is it respect or is it just f you and let's see how far we can take this. You know,
Well, I think
I find it incredible.
in this country here, it's like I mean, I'm shocked at €3 per bird. Excuse me, 3.5 euros per bird per day. I'm shocked in this country. Like, you know, here you could say to a fellow, I'll take care of them for $70 a month. Well, that's like, oh
Can I
wow.
ask you?
You
I taken care of birds for guys. I said, bring me a bottle of vodka a month. Did I not say that? Birds were there five
$70, $70 here.
$70.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Birds were there 5 months. One bottle of vodka. Hey, you want me to tell you something? Hey, come on, man. You want me to go up and down the ladder, feed them, water them, responsibility them. If I go out late, I got to come get up in the morning and feed them. I don't want to go out, but I got to do it. It's a responsibility. Now people ask, Ricky, if anyone asks, you take care of the pigeons? Nope, not interested. Not interested. Because you want to know what? I'm not going to be used.
Well, then
Anyway,
if you turn around and you say, "Well, I haven't heard from him. I tried to contact him, or her, or can't get a hold of him." Well, I'm just going to put them up. Chinese are going to buy them for whatever they cook them like. And then next day, the person will come over and say, "Hey, I'm here to pick my birds up." Say, "Hey, I just sold them to the Chinese people. They like to eat them birds." And well, now you're a loser, eh? You are a loser.
I don't know what you're supposed to do, but
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute, Jack. The weasel just got in and killed them all. Guess what, Richard? You got a bad loft. It's not sealed
uh,
off enough. I don't know what
all
you're
right,
doing.
okay,
Hey,
all
bud.
right, okay. So let's just move past that. We don't have to get into the whole story
uh,
of everything, but I'm just saying.
Well, what I'm saying is, you know how people feel.
Well, I know.
If you
Uh,
got an interest, come on, get your stuff.
Shane Dennis says, I hope it was a good bottle of vodka. Uh, Vodka is vodka. I don't. It doesn't really matter what kind of vodka. I don't think it is. But David Tracy says after 30 days, I would make a pigeon McNuggets out of them. Yeah. Well, when the guy says, "Could you keep them for a couple months for me?" and you say, "Sure, there's not a problem. No problem. No problem." And I will say that the same thing with running the one loft races. I will not do it ever again with people bringing birds and saying, "Well, I'll pay you next week. I'll pay you next week." That will never happen. I'm not interested in that because it's just a lie. But anyways, we're not going down that road of that. It is see the season is getting ready to breed, and I talked to some fanciers. A friend of mine, a pigeon guy, a very good pigeon guy. He's quite well known. He's got I think the most now. He's got the most national wins with 11 in Belgium here. His name's Kurt Platillo, and we were talking about breeding, and he said in the animal kingdom that he believes that uh, champions pair with champions. So what does that really mean for you guys? And what I said to him, well, what does that mean to you? He says, listen, my champions normally pair together with my champions. I don't have to pair them. And he says, when I put a group of birds together in a room, right? I let them love pair. I let them pair up as they want to. And I get the very best success when I love pair them. When I try and pair them, the success is not the same. And he says on my race team, my widowhood team, are the winners paired to the winners. And he says the results he's got from it are very, very good. Now, I don't know what you guys think, but when I kind of think of this, I remember Dean Pallett. He was the same way. He had some ideas about pairing. And I know a few other people that like to do the love pairing, and if you're worried about
Excuse me.
saying, well, we're going to put two big ones together, right? I don't want to see two big ones together, or I don't want to see two red ones together, or I don't want to see this or that. If you have multiple sections, you can put your bigger pigeons in one room when you throw in fresh hens or new hens that are a smaller type. So that means all the big cocks will pair to the smaller hens instead of you trying to put left to right and A to B. Just a thought. I don't know what the audience thinks of this. I will get to the comments. You can't buy a drink without cash, but drop pigeons till they are ready to pay some people are dueled, Ryan. Yeah, well, hey, you want to know what? When you're a nice guy and you take a guy's birds in, and he's a local guy in our area, and he knows who he is. I don't know if I should mention his name. I don't know if something happened to him. Maybe something happened to him. But I do see him on Messenger, and I do see him on the Facebook there from time to time. We have called and left him numerous messages. But yeah, just I guess take advantage. I don't know. Gang One says yes. Dean Pallett, the Van Reet man. Yes, he is. Now he's not no more into Van Reets. He's into his other pigeons. He's into his yellow Yellama pigeons. One of these days, I'm going to have to go to the UK and meet him. I've met him a few times at the shows and that, and I know he'd be a great interview. Talked to him quite a bit there in my, I think, geez, when I was about 18 years old, so maybe about 25. We talked a lot to Dean. Quite a smart pigeon man. He was one of the ones that I have to do. I have to interview him because he's going to be a real good interview, I think. But uh, I am going to let them pick their own mates this year. JD Teal says he's going to try to let them pick their own mates this year. Ricky, what's your thought on the love pairing? That's what we'll call it, love pairing.
I think it's going to be. I've noticed if you let them love pair, like I always like to see opposite eyes, and they'll
Mm-hmm.
love pair, and they will pair up with opposite eyes. I don't know why. You know. So, yeah.
I just thought it was an interesting way of putting it, and I've heard this from multiple top guys now. And let's just ask the question: we all like to play God. We do. We all like to play God. How many times does playing God work? And how many times is it in the loft? Oh, that extra cock I had, I threw him in, and he paired up that stupid hen in the corner. Or not stupid hen, a hen I didn't want, or a hen the hen that didn't want to go to that cock went to this cock, and boom, they picked it themselves, and it worked. You hear that a lot of times, and then there's people that say, well, I want to do individual breeding. Well, you can still love pair and do individual breeding. When the pairs pick their mates, throw them in an individual pen. They pick their mates. Then you don't have to worry. But I do think it is quite interesting, and I wonder how many people have tried this out. You know,
Well, excuse me. Um, you've already had like Dean Pallett said the same, and this other fella here, he said the same. So, you know,
I
these
just
people
I
have
just think
proven.
sometimes they got to be like people. Pigeons got to be able to pick what they like, right? A little bit.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
Can
would think.
pigeons fly long distance, 600 miles? Yes, Ralph B, they can. So yeah, I thought that was quite interesting on the love pairing, and it's interesting when you hear people that do it and the level that they're at, and they're winning with it. But that doesn't mean they're love pairing junk pigeons together. They're taking ace pigeons. Like when you're breeding, just think about this, and we'll talk about, for instance, with Kurt. Kurt's got a section of 20 pair, and in the 20 pair, all 40 pigeons have at least one time uh, top 100 in nationals. Okay, so that means all the pigeons he's breeding from could scored in the top 100 in national races. So when he's love pairing that's not love pairing pigeons that should be called. He's he's talking about letting love pair good pigeons to good pigeons. Uh, let's see. Mike Vandiak says my yearling racers always pick their own mates. I pick the stock pairings. Well, Mike, what does better for you? The stock pairs that you pick or the yearlings that you pick? That's an interesting question. JD
Or
Teal
they,
says,
they, they have to pick their own. The
yeah,
yearlings pick their own mating.
the yearlings pick their own, and Mike picks the
Yeah.
the, the old bird. So I'm
Yeah,
just
that's right. Yeah.
uh, nature will find a way. Nature is always progressing without our help. And you got to say something. A pigeon out in the wild has to find a male has to find or a hen has to find as strong of a cock. Would you not say?
Yeah.
I mean, it's to keep going. Now, Mike says it's 50-50. Okay, 50-50. So technically, it's 50-50. So isn't that technically meaning the love pairing is doing better than Mike? Because it's taken a lot of work out of it, Mike. I mean, actually, if you think about it, Mike, it's actually doing better because your yearlings, they're not your stock birds. Your stock birds should be better than your yearlings, but it's 50-50. Huh. Maybe if you let your stock birds love pair and your yearlings love pair, maybe you'll be 75-25. I'm just going to throw that out there. But there's somebody who's trying it a certain way.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I'm not putting the birds together now because the weather's too cold and the drinkers, everything freezes up. It's like cold, cold, cold. I can't be
And
bothered.
here's another thing. If you're building new lofts or new section and your cocks, you're going to pair up your cocks and you're itchy. You're itchy, itchy, itchy to go. Okay? And you built a new section and your pigeons have never been in it, put your cocks in, give them 2 weeks in the section, in the loft, 2 weeks with the lights on, let them get their boxes, let them get accommodated. You can't just put them in, put hens in, and let it go because it's just going to be a nightmare. There's no concentration. They haven't picked their spot. So I'm just saying for people that are switching some things around in their lofts, you got to give the birds time to adjust to it. You can't just what we call because you want it, it happens. Mike Vaniak says, and I will read this: my stock pairs would just go back to last year's mate if I just ran them together to pick a mate. Well, yeah, I guess you'd have to switch some of the sections, Mike, and I know you don't do that, and I get that. That's okay. Heather Green says hello. Nice to see you, Mrs. Heather Green. But I do know that there are people, they change a lot of stuff and then they try and pair the birds up. And same thing, even if you're putting birds in individual breeding things, I see people breeding out of these rabbit cage things for individual pens. It's an absolute, It's an absolute disaster. What they'll do to pigeons to get them to breed. Reminder, if the pigeon is happy, he's got a little bit of room, he can move around, he's got good fresh grit, minerals, he can bathe once a week, and he can move around, you're going to have way better youngsters than sticking them in some cage that you built that is not comfortable, but you think it is because you want to have individual breeding. Because this is going to make you better. It's not. It'll make you worse. 100% it will. If you're, I always say, if you know your individual breeding pen better be 6 feet tall, 3 feet wide, and 5 feet deep. So those birds can go up and down and up and down and up and down. Give them some room to move, and you'll get super quality youngsters. Sean says, my dad and a top flyer saw pick your top 5, 10 pairs, and let them love pair. Play with the rest. There you go. Try it that way. I don't think you guys will go wrong love pairing. Mike Vaniak says, I have 30 nests in 3 sections. He has 2 lofts and 12 pair of birds. This year, I am going to let them pick their own box, okay, their own mate. All right, so Mike's going to try it. Sean says, they saw they saw the birds are happier when they pick their own mates. I agree.
Yeah. Sometimes you mate birds up together in a nest box or whatever you have there, and you put them. They're all mated up. Everybody's mated. We're happy as can be, and then you open up the doors to the nest boxes, and everybody goes out. And the next thing you're finding, uh, these birds switched. They switched. You're going, oh no, I didn't want that. Oh, they switched. And I just had an experience where I had a hen that was mated up to a cock, uh, strongly mated to a cock. And again, excuse me, uh, I'm talking about my Icelandic whites, and I take this hen and a different cock. One time, well, not more, one time, quite a few times, I put them in a basket together, and this cock was just pounding this hen. And meanwhile, she was mated with another cock in the loft. So I said, I can't have this go on. So I put them in a basket with a separator in the middle, which was a piece of wood, like thinner than plywood. It was like plywood. And I would take them on tosses, let's say 5 miles, 8 kilometers. And sometimes they'd be in that basket for an hour before I would liberate this pair of birds. And they made it up through the plywood. They couldn't see each other, and they made it up through that. And she left her cockbird for this cock. Like I never ever seen that before. Normally you put them in a section where in a box where they could see each other through a wire, through dialing, but they can't contact each other, and they would slowly fall in love without the cock dominating the hen. Or you'd put them in a nest box where the hen could get up, and if the cock was chasing her, she could get up, and she wouldn't get hurt at all by this cock. But I seen this pair mated up in a basket with a separator in the middle. They couldn't see each other, and this hen was mated up with a cock bird at home, and she decided to go, I'm going to go with this guy. She dropped her cockbird and she never even seen him.
That's right.
Like,
Well,
isn't that something that is like, and it's like if you you pair birds up in a section. You got 15 boxes or 30 boxes, and you got 15 boxes you're using for pairing up, and you've got them all together. You leave them in there for a week or 10 days. You got a divider in, but it's wire or something. They can see each other, or doweling, and all this stuff. And then you let them out when you think everything's paired. Meanwhile, she got paired to the guy on the other side of on the other wall,
Yeah,
just
100%.
through the music of whatever they do.
Yeah, as David Tracy
That's
says, I had success both ways, but with the birds that choose their own mates, he has better success. So David Tracy's another one that has agreed. Mike Vaniak says, I agree. Birds need to be happy to race well, but does it need to be that happy to breed good youngsters? Well, absolutely it does. You know, you have to think the more comfortable you are, the happier you are, the better production you're probably going to do. Packing a bird into a small little, I call them rabbit cages because I see a lot of people doing it. They got the wire and they got the drinkers and they got the birds in there, and the bird can't even take a shit. You take him out of the rabbit cage and the bird explodes all into your hand because he's holding his shit in. Now, imagine that. And I see people doing it. I'm not going to lie. We tried it I think in 2012. We built something kind of small, looked good. It was for the winter. We brought them in the garage. We set it all up. It looked really good, right? It was shit. It was shit. The birds weren't happy. They went down on eggs, yeah. Half the eggs hatched, half the eggs didn't. The eggs were a little bit dirty. You'd pick up a bird out of the cage to look at it, and it would explode into your hand. You know what? The quality of the babies was a zero, wasn't it, Ricky?
Mhm. Yeah, oh yeah.
It was a zero. And you want to know what we did with that idea? We said, yeah, yeah, back to the original way. As soon as we put them back out, lots of room, go out into the big aviary, have a bath, put the grid outside, let them be pigeons, right? And you get it. It works. But locking them up and putting the nice fronts on and, playing God, I think that's good. It's fun. I don't know if it's the smartest way to get the result. Mike Vaniak says, failing to provide proper care facilities is different than promoting the joy and true love. I don't know. Mike, I don't know what,
That I
I
think,
don't,
Mike, what you said there, I think that's very nice, and
yeah.
I think we should put that on a Valentine's card.
And we're not saying to make
I'm
a
not making fun, Mike. I think
no, no,
that's
no.
real nice.
You can have a nice open loft that doesn't have to have anything fancy. You don't have to have proper nest boxes. You can have little teepees up. You can have cubbies. You can have all kinds of little things. It doesn't have to be expensive. You don't need automatic cleaners, but give the birds a little bit of room, a little bit of space to move a little bit, you know. But I
Okay.
think that's what Mike's saying. But we're not talking fancy. I went today down the road from where I am. There's the champion of Norway. So he just moved in. Well, he moved in last year, and he brought his birds from Norway. Now he's a champion of Norway. I'm going to do an interview with him. A hell of a nice guy, and he's got his birds here, and he's doing his thing. And he's invited me to come over, and I had to
So
take
where
him out.
where is he in relation to where you are?
He's about 1 kilometer down the road. And
Oh wow.
he's putting traps on his loft, and he's gotten everything all set up. And he's this was his dream. His dream was to fly pigeons in Belgium, right in this very area. And I guess I don't think his wife's living anymore. So he just packed up from Norway and he moved here to Burlar. And you should see. I went over there, and he's 70 years old, and he's a big kid inside. He's living his dream. He's got he put in, you won't believe this, he put in all brand new automatic cleaning boxes. He spent 30,000 euros on the inside of this loft, put a different kind of roof on, new traps on. And he was telling me, how he started in pigeons. And I'm not going to say too much of the story because I'm going to have him on. But, the same as we are, as he is, just the same crazy pigeon man. He
Well,
remembers telling me going to Oslo, going under the bridges and looking for pigeons with rings on them when he was just a little boy, you know.
yeah.
So I thought it was quite interesting. Mike Vaniak says, I do not like and will not use individual breeding pens. Okay, you don't have to. You can do whatever you want. I'm not saying you have to. You can do what you want. Alfred, good evening. Combination Van Zoren with Olympic Henny. There, Alfred is. If you guys want to say hi to him, say hello. What else were we saying? Yeah, just about breeding. And at the beginning here of January, I'm going to be doing a sit down with Guy Van Den Hour, and we're going to go through. He's going to give you a whole bunch of tips on breeding, some of the stuff he uses, some of the products that he uses. Um, we're going to have that on, so that'll be fun. What else can I say? What else are you thinking, Ricky?
Well, what I'm feeling is really pigeon people are you feel like a child almost every day of your life keeping pigeons. You think you go to bed at night and you think, what am I going to mate up? And I mean, I've done this for years. What's happening? What's going to mate up? And then you go out and you watch your birds, and I think we have this. Every single one of us has this built into our souls. And even if we weren't allowed to keep pigeons in our homes, wherever we are, or something, we as pigeon people would still look for pigeons in the park, get that feeling of it's that kind of feeling that we have. And, I listened to Mike Vanderyak say there are a few things, and I just feel that great feeling of keeping birds. You know, every
Okay.
single pigeon man has that feeling deep down inside. He feels like a child for maybe 10 minutes a day, or half an hour a day, or 2 hours a day. That gives him that good feeling. Do you agree, Ryan?
Oh, I agree. I really do agree with you, Ricky.
Yeah,
I agree.
I yeah.
I agree.
It's that feeling. I remember one time, Ryan, we were a little guy about 6 years old, and we went for a drive in Toronto, and you said to me, Dad, take a look at that cock. He's driving that hen. You already knew at that time. That is a feeling in your heart, and you'll never forget it. And a pigeon man will never forget that feeling.
Yeah, so I'm going to go
You
over
know.
and I'm going to interview him because, again, being the Norwegian champion, it's pretty good. I mean, he won quite a few races, and he's so happy to be here flying pigeons, and he's so excited to try his own pigeons out. And he took me
And
into his loft, and
it's rejuvenating his life, rejuvenating an ambition to never never stop. Do you agree? And he's changing. It's like, so many guys say, oh, I'm going to change my nest boxes, I'm going to change my fly pen, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to get the blue bars mated to the reds, and I'm going to do this and that. Well, they never ever say to you, I'm changing the kitchen cupboards in my house or I'm going to paint the interior of my house. No, I'm doing this for my pigeon loft. And that's I would have to say, the youth coming back out into a person.
Yeah. As Mike Vanderyak says, only 16 pair or less out of all 70 plus lofts in the Niagara area. There'll only be, like, what will it be? 16 combine winners. Yes, Mike, that's right. Only 16. And then there'll be a bunch of champion birds that are better than the combine winners. So there'll be a few more good pairs. Don't worry, Mike. I can guarantee you that. Pigeon men have warm hearts, says 3DX Loft, but he says they have warm hearts and empty pockets, or full pockets and cold hearts. No in betweens. All right. Mr. Tracy, he says, whatever I get stressed out or something is bothering me, I head to the loft and it makes everything okay again. Well, there you go. It does. It can do that.
100%. I say if there's more pigeon keepers in this world, we'll have a lot better place.
Oh,
And I think I
yeah.
100%.
Pigeon keeping is a lot of fun. Yeah.
Well, pigeon keeping, pigeon racing, pigeon
Yeah.
keeping, pigeon
Yeah, the whole
involvement, involvement.
whatever part of it gets you to go. That's right. There's some guys they're pigeon keepers, but they're built more for the racing. And there's guys that are more pigeon keepers that just enjoy the pigeons.
I don't give a, excuse me, but I don't give a damn whether you're a racing pigeon man or a pigeon keeper, a guy that keeps a bunch of barn plugs and you're keeping them healthy and you're keeping them in a proper manner or whatever. You were all the same people,
Okay.
I believe.
All right.
I
Maybe.
believe it.
Oh,
I know a guy that has fantails. I don't give a shit about fantails. I wouldn't keep one, but him and I communicate on the same level. I know a guy that's got Russian craft tumblers, and I wouldn't have one, even though I do keep them for this fellow. But we're all on that same level. Like, level, we correspond very well,
okay,
you
yeah.
know?
I get what
Yeah.
you're
So,
saying.
and I don't say to the guy that's got those champion fantails, you're an idiot. You got champion fantails. I respect what he has.
Yeah, I didn't say that. All I said was people get a different enjoyment of their pigeons in different ways.
That's 100% right.
There's some guys though that are more pigeon racing, and that's their favorite part of it, or what they like of the birds the most. And then there's other guys. There's guys that show their pigeons. You know, again, hey, if I couldn't raise pigeons, I'd have those Spanish powders. I like them. I like watching them. I like watching them go back and forth, and not to put them in a competition, to just watch them do their thing.
Hey, listen, I got a picture here. You know the one I have of that guy, the homeless guy in
Yeah,
Montreal. And I should show this on the
we
show.
we don't need to see it. We've
That
already
to
seen it.
me,
We've already
that to
seen it.
me,
We've already
oh,
seen
they
it. We've
they
already
already
seen
seen
it.
it.
Yeah, I've seen
That
it.
to me is the heart for keeping pigeons. And I'm going to ask you a question. The champion pigeon flyers that that we know, they're way above us. Uh, they always have pigeon in their heart. They don't have to win prizes, I believe. They always have pigeon in their heart,
Oh yeah, sure.
right? It,
I agree with you on that. I
you
mean,
know.
you can even take a look at Koopman. What did he sell? He sold this whole thing out for just over $6 million, but he still kept, you know, 10 or 15 pair of pigeons, right? Around some late breds he kept, and some real old ones he kept, and he's gonna fly those with the one loft races. Now, why did he do that? Because you still just can't get rid of them. You still
He's
gotta have something. You still gotta
would it
do something, and
would
that's
it
those
would
16
it
pigeons could have made him an additional or 20 30 pigeons would have probably made him an additional 200,000, maybe more dollars.
and guess what? Guess what? If he gets rid of every single pigeon, you may find a man in the park somewhere, that Koopman, in the park, feeding pigeons little pieces of bread, watching the pigeons. If you got pigeon in your heart, doesn't matter how successful you are or how weak you are, you still always have the pigeon in your heart. 100%.
Shane Dennis says, "What is the best droppers in your opinion?" The best droppers, in my opinion, are pigeons that will go straight to the board. Uh, and I think the satinets or the Chinese owls, I think those are the best. Now everyone's going to put their hands up. I use fantails and I use this and I use that and whatever you like. But the idea is for the bird to go onto the board when you throw him up or you let him go to the board. He goes right to the board. Boom. Okay, and he doesn't have to go in right away, but within a couple minutes, he goes in. I think that's what you're looking for, and you can have fantails, and you can have powders, you can have race
You
birds,
can
but you
have
don't.
those Russian tumblers there. What I have a few of
I
them.
wouldn't really use a Russian tumbler to do that because it's a damn tumbler and they're stupid. I
No,
hate.
they don't
Well,
tumble. You don't know enough about them.
yeah,
I'm going
I
to bring
know
an
that
argument up to you.
they're
They'll go
stupid.
right to the board.
They're
Don't.
stupid. I know they're stupid. I can tell. I
I'm
wouldn't use
sorry.
them. I wouldn't use them. They're no good. They're just a. Just,
If you want, I have a few.
no, I'm not
I
interested in
can
one.
show you next week. They're
If,
sat nets are good. Those powders are good.
now,
Even though you know what's really good too? They're
here's
really
the.
good is the
Okay,
Indian fantails. They're
but
very good.
you can't find them now. This is a. I'm gonna say that this is a nice statement. This statement. When I read this statement, and Mike can give this statement, but I don't believe this at all. If you need a dropper to get the bird to trap, you've already lost the race. Nope, you haven't. A dropper is a cheat code, and when you know how to use droppers, all they do is speed up the finish. That's all they do. They don't win or lose you the race, but they do speed up your finish. You do gain a few seconds with good droppers, and if your pigeons know the droppers and you know how to throw the droppers, and if your bird is out front and you use a dropper, it gets you there just a bit quicker. So I'm going to totally say to Mike, that's a big, I'm sorry, but that's a false statement.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I'm
David,
not
thank you.
stick Ryan. I'm not sticking up for your statement.
I don't
I'd
need you
like
to
to
stick
hear.
up.
I'd like to hear that statement that Mike made, so I could just hear that again.
Mike said, if you need a dropper to get a bird to trap, you have already lost the race.
Okay. Uh,
It's just a wrong statement. It's a
okay.
backward statement.
Yeah, no, no, no. I don't. When you get a bird coming from a race and you see that bird up there, uh, a few 100 feet up, he hasn't even started to decline to the board. When you throw that dropper out, that pigeon instantly doesn't even do a half turn, nothing. It just zoop right on the board. So I don't, Mike, I think, uh, I think you're giving some advice, but why don't you come on over? I'll prove it to you.
No, no, no. We don't need to prove it. We don't.
I've
It's
I've I've I've
it's
proven it.
not a it's a it's what Mike's saying is it's very nice, right? But that's BS. BS.
I understand what Mike's saying. Mike's looking at
Ah,
a bird that's circling 3 times around the tree, or he went up and he hit the house roof. So now I got to throw a dropper to try and get him down. If your pigeon's focused in that degree, it's you don't have that pigeon in the right form of mind, right form of condition, because if the pigeon's not in condition, he's not in the right form of mind. And you got your dropper, you see that thing just like a little pin in the sky. Oh, here comes one. You throw your dropper and he just zooms. Um, yeah, I don't think,
okay.
Mike, you've ever really
All right.
proven it
Hold
with
on.
pigeons
So
in
we
condition
we got some
enough.
more comments. Mike says my widowhood cocks have scanned before I have time to throw the dropper. Well, Mike, okay, your widowhood cock.
No, well
You
then he
all
doesn't
right?
need it. He doesn't
Okay.
need it. I think that Mike, the bird's faster than Mike's eye.
Okay. Well, you know what, Mike? I don't think you can get any quicker then. So, guys, you have an advantage over Mike. His widowhood cocks are so fast that he can't see them. So, I'll recommend if you're flying against Mike, use droppers. You have a little advantage. You have them in young birds, you have them in old birds. You can use them. They're just a little cheat code, little cheat code, and they do work. But reminder, a dropper don't make you win a race, but a dropper takes your winning pigeon and gets him in a second faster. And you know what? Sometimes a second is all it takes to win. So you can either gain the second with the dropper, or you can say, F it. Mike says you don't need it. I'm going to take the cheat code. The same thing. If you ding dongs have, what do they put, fences on your pigeon loft roof? That's the same damn cheat code you're trying. It's all the same. Listen,
Well,
you're trying to get every single inch out of the pigeon. Now, I got some more comments. Let me read the comments.
I got other guys saying to me, "Hey,
Can I
oh
read the
God,
comments?
I'm gonna have to cut down that maple
Can,
tree.
can
That's a
can
pile
I
of
read the
bullshit."
comments? I use sat nets. They go straight into the loft. David Tracy and I use the same kind. Do you sell droppers, Richard? Yes, we do. You can come on down and pick some up. Ricky will tell you when you get there what you need. Droppers are very important. Okay. Mike, oh, I already read Mike's statement. It can be depended on one's loft location. It can depend on one's loft location. Mike, it doesn't depend on your loft location. Come on.
Excuse
Unbelievable.
me.
Listen, you want me to tell you guys? And here's a tip. A lot of people aren't going to like this tip. You should have about a minimum of about 20 droppers. And you're all going to say to me, well, why would I need 20 droppers? It's only about the first and second bird. Nope. If you're sitting there and enjoying your pigeons coming home from, let's say, the first race of the season, okay? First race comes, you get 4 birds together. Throw the first dropper up, dropper sucks them down, those 4 are in. Boom, that's good. Next, you get 2 that come over. Whoop, throw another dropper. Bang, he takes him in. 5 minutes later, you get 2 more together. Another dropper. Bang. You do it until all your droppers are just about done, and you go out and you get more droppers. You bring them back out and do it again. Number 1, you're training your dropper. Number 2, you're training all your pigeons to understand the dropper in race mode. Okay? Number 3, you make all the pigeons come and feel like they're coming for something. Okay? And number 4, you know what dropper? Yeah. The red with the bell neck, when I throw him every once in a while, he does something a little stupid I don't like, so he'll always be my last dropper. It's called working with your pigeons, getting them to finish strong, getting them to finish like winners.
You know
So
what I find? I
invest in
find with
them.
the droppers as well at the later part of the season, like young bird season, and also you can use that in old bird season at the first part. Uh, when the hawks are still like old bird season, the first few old bird races, the hawks are hunting still, and when you've got that dropper ready, your bird comes home, he doesn't have to scan the area. He won't scan the area like they normally do because they're worried if there's a hawk around. You throw out that dropper, he just hits that board. And at the later part of the year, like we're talking the end of September races, October races, when the hawks are starting to hit, and you have that dropper there in your basket. Soon you see that bird come, bang, you throw that dropper, he just hits that board like a bullet.
Here's another thing, and my good friend here, I got to go visit. I got to go do an interview with him, Stefan Lambrecht. We were talking about droppers, eh? Barely
Mhm.
speak English. He says, droppers. I got droppers. I got 100 droppers. And this guy's won multiple national races. So I kind of go to myself, yeah, I'm on the right track here. A dropper is a cheat code. Teaching a pigeon how to drink and eat in a basket is a cheat code. It's you that has to install that shit into their brains. Now, here's a fun fact, and Mike, I thought you would have picked up on this, but I let someone else come. Michael Peebler says everyone in Spring Hills uses droppers. You have seconds to win or lose. I wonder why they use droppers in Spring Hill. With only seconds to win or lose, why would they use droppers, Mike? I
Uh,
don't care if you're living in the enchanted forest. Droppers don't get in the way. A dropper works. Reminder though, if you throw the dropper too late and the pigeon's already ahead of the dropper, well, it's a dud. You screw up the race bird. But if you're focused on what's going on, if you see a bird and you haven't grabbed the dropper yet, and that bird's already falling and he's doing his thing, don't throw the dropper. Don't.
you should have
Let
the
him
you
finish
sit
it.
you should be sitting on the chair with the dropper in your hand.
And the other thing, another thing, have your droppers in your hand. You can have, the Pigeon Boss hoodie I wear? You can have a dropper inside the hoodie as well. So you have two on you. Okay, hold on. We got more questions here. Come on. Shane Dennis says, good tips. You're very welcome. I like using the Spanish thief powders to work the young birds when I'm first settling them. That's a good tip. I like pigeons like that out. I think that's very good. I think the powders, one thing they add is a little bit of calmness. The way they act, they're a little kamikaze. They show good. I
Well,
use my
if I can,
droppers. Okay, I use my droppers even when I'm training. Yeah, that's perfect. Get your birds used to it. Did the Jansen brothers have sat nets? I have to find out. Sorry, Ryan. I only have 12 droppers. Hey, listen, if you have 12 droppers, you just go back up to the loft. But if you can have a few more and it doesn't overcrowd your loft or you have another section, I have more droppers. I like them. I think they're good. And when they're really good? When you're loft flying in the end of the year and your birds have been flying about an hour, maybe the hawks are out, and you try and get them down. Sometimes the only thing that'll work to pull them down are those droppers because you've used them throughout the season or you're using them all the time. Birds get hooked on them and it just sucks them right down.
excuse me. Yeah, and they're very nice to look at. I like them. To me, it's like a kid in a candy store. You're like looking at all those candies and
And
oh, beautiful.
and
And I get all
I'll
these different colors, and I have the non-show quality type, but they're got different colors. The colors come out; they're very nice. And the other thing too is these droppers are good for pumpers.
and
Pumpers.
I will say if you're gonna add droppers to your loft, add them at the beginning of the season before you start training and racing. Get the birds used to them. Get that all going. Another thing, if you want to have birds on the landing board, on the board, you don't have to use a sat net. You can use a fantail. If your kids want to get a nice little fantail, have a couple out on the roof, standing on the roof, good. Have those. Have your droppers. All it does is add a magnet to the loft. We got more comments, Ricky. Does Dennis Sapan use droppers? I have to think. I think he does. I think I've seen some. I'm not sure. When I go back to Dennis's, I will. Does Alfred use droppers? Alfred, I believe Alfred has one or two droppers. I think Alfred does. I don't know. Stefan Lambrecht uses droppers. Cyril Lambrecht uses droppers. I think Chris Clarebot uses droppers. Let me think. Who else do I know that uses droppers? Let's think. Van He uses droppers. Chris DeBecker, I believe he has droppers. I don't know.
Droppers don't like the sat nets that we have. They don't like to fly. They'll go out on the board. They'll just go from the board maybe up to the roof of the loft and then back. Very seldom go up on the roof of the loft. They'll go on the board, walk around a little bit, take a little bath and go back in. They don't like to fly. But when you throw them up, they go right to the board.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. And if you do get a dropper, if you do have one and he's a little bit what we call flighty, you just cut the ninth or the 10th, the ninth and the eighth, cut them halfway down on both sides, and that's it. Or cut them down on one side a little more. They're a little off balance. There's no problem.
Or just, you know what? If he's just getting you upset a little bit, just put him in the garden.
Put them in the garden, yeah. Droppers are common in England, not so much in Belgium. Well, I'm not gonna. No, that's. I don't buy that. You see it. You see it. You just gotta look for them. Eddie Grugen's got droppers. Guy had
I'm
droppers, and Guy's one of the guys who doesn't. He had them, and the Hawks ate his, but he didn't have enough. But anyways, whatever. We're just saying. I think droppers, if you once you learn how to use them, it's kind of like going back to the days of manual clocking. It's a it's a fun it's a fun little weapon you get to use. Sean says, I have one, and that's always the first one. Her name is Money. Ryan, you know why. LOL. Yes, I do. And you know what? When you get used to throwing your droppers, exactly what Sean's saying, you find the ones that you say, okay, this is always my first dropper because it always goes straight bang the way I want it. And it's funny how you even learn how to do that. You just don't, you learn it, and interesting. But I think droppers are very underrated. But I don't think, I think if people who don't use them, they'll like it.
I think we haven't heard from Mike Vanderyak in a few moments here. I really think he's interested in getting some droppers for a Christmas gift.
And they make great Christmas gifts.
Yeah.
They are.
They say these satinets they're great for children starting off. Like they're like a children pigeon. They breed like mice. They're like,
Yeah. Do you ever notice? I don't,
very tame.
do you ever notice a pair of droppers gives you two pair of babies in 30 days? You're looking, and
Yeah,
the babies are this big in the nest. They got two eggs. The babies are
yeah,
going. It's unbelievable.
and they're like very tame. You put your hand in the nest, they'll almost take your hand right off. They're so defensive of that nest. and but I have droppers. I have excellent droppers, but they're non-show quality.
No,
Okay.
you don't want the show quality ones. We want the ones that
I,
work.
you know what? I went to a show one time, and a guy had sat nets there, and I said, "Hey, I got a bunch of sat nets myself." He said, "Oh yeah." I said, "Yeah, but a lot of my sat nets don't have feathers on their feet." He said, "Oh, kill them all." Like, but I'm only keeping them for droppers. Hey, bud, I'm enjoying myself with the droppers. Okay, I'm not like that real serious shit. If you get the
Yeah,
odd one with feathers on his feet, okay, but I'm not into that. I'm just using them for droppers,
Ricky,
but
we get it. We understand. We understand. You don't have to get into a full explanation of why he thought you were an idiot.
a
We
what?
know.
An explanation?
An explanation. We don't need to get into that, Ricky. So,
I know people
oh,
that have gotten my droppers and they're so happy.
no,
Success.
you don't need show quality. The one thing I will say is once you kind of like the ones we had, I remember there at one point, I think we must have had 150 of them. We had them just in one building. I remember you were breeding them, and we had so many different colors and different patterns and everything, and colors that you
Oh,
couldn't even imagine. And you think like that was when that's just keeping pigeons fun.
that's
And
like
the
you get back to your childhood when that
yeah,
happens.
and I remember we had them. Remember, it was almost like you could say going to a candy shop because they were beautiful. But
Beautiful.
did Mike Vaniak has a question? Did they ever fill in the hole? No, the hole's still non-filled. I like half droppers and racers. Yes, half droppers and racers. Now, guys, those can work providing they act like droppers and not race birds and go for a fly. But if you got good ones, and Sean says, I have one called Hawkbait. You know why. That's a dumb one. All right. Well, hopefully the hawk will get him. But yeah, droppers. It's good. You learn
Yeah.
to use them.
Learn to use them. Yeah. 100%. You can throw the same drop route, God, 6 times in a race, and he'll just go up, bang, right on the board and go in.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And even when you're training your young birds, if you train them and you beat them home, and when you go training, put your droppers in the basket, down wherever you are. And you come home from training. If they're not home, you can sit there, practice them with the droppers. Or if your kids are there, have the kids wait, throw the droppers, get your wife involved, tell her to make a cocktail for you, wait for the birds, throw the droppers. It's a lot of fun.
And if you got grandchildren, they love them. They say all the different colors and the feathers. Some got feathers on their feet. They got the little tuft on the back of the head. Some got a little flower on their chest. They're so, oh,
Yeah, and you know what? If you can get your kids or grandkids you can teach them how to throw them, right? Teach them how to do it. It
they
gets
love it.
it gets them involved, and it's the little things that make it fun, right?
Yeah.
So if you think about it, it's a look at all the winning you're going to do. Your birds are going to trap faster. You're going to have more fun if you're throwing them, your wife's throwing them, your kids are throwing them, or your grandkids are throwing them. It's a little job for everyone to do and have a little bit of fun doing it.
Hey, and take a look. The little youngsters, the little droppers, look at, they're like this large, 3 weeks old in the nest. They're so darn cute. Okay, Mike, I'm going to send you 10 down.
John M says, "What breed of pigeons are droppers?" Well, there's lots of different kinds. There's satinets and Chinese owls. I guess you could use Medinas. You could use fantails. You could use powders. So there's different, few
I
different
like
ones.
yeah, fantails. I like to use the Indian fantails. They're pretty darn
You know
good.
what? I
The
haven't seen Indian fantails in a long time, and I like them.
well, personally, Ryan, you haven't been around to look, but I know where there's a whole lot of them. The Indian fans, they work real good.
I know you know where to
But
go because
the
you're a
show
Ricky.
fans, they like to sit in the board. They don't move. But an Indian fan, you can throw 50 feet from the loft, let them go, bang, right on the board.
Yeah, look at this. Look at Sean here. I remember tossing droppers when I was 4 and 5 years old with my dad on race day. Do you see? You see how that works? And I bet you he had such a good time doing that with his dad. That was his job.
Yeah.
So
So
I'm
now pigeon flyer, like you could like if you're 70, 75-year old pigeon flyer, you can get some droppers and have your wife throw them out for you
and
or your
I'll
grandchildren.
tell you another thing you can do. If you have your race birds in the loft for the day and you just want to let your droppers out on the board, you want to watch some pigeons fly down, have a bath, pick on the lawn, fly up to the roof, you can do it. It's nice.
Oh, we got an ice storm here, Ryan.
Farhad says Russian sky cutters. Oh yeah, I remember when they dumped those in the parking lot. Remember that one?
Oh yeah.
Indian fans are hanging with Icelandic whites. Oh, maybe they are. I don't know.
Okay, is that a cheap shot? Come on, eh?
No. Oh.
I think I'm going to bring some droppers on next week.
If you want to bring them on, you can. But
I'm
they are
gonna, huh?
they are good. They are good to use. We've talked about them before. And you know what? Now for people, they're going to start breeding. Now is a good time to get, if you're going to get your droppers or you're getting some, get them in the loft, get them used to everything, and start right from the beginning with them, and you'll see how it works. You really will. The young birds get used to them, and I say use it with young birds. You can use it with old birds. You don't have to worry. If you have cockbirds and you're throwing those hens, it's fine. If you have hens, you're throwing cockbirds, it's fine. You're not going to have a problem.
And what should I say? You can use them as pumpers. They make great pumpers. Unbelievable. They're
And again,
super.
yes, you can have one or two. You can. But if you have 5, 10, 15, 20, you just have a few more to throw, and it just makes it easier than having to run down to the loft, run down to the loft. And again, I say, guys, you trust me on this one. Week 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, you'll sometimes throw your dropper for your 40th pigeon, and you'll say, "Well, why are you doing that? What a waste of time! He's an hour late. He's a loser." The next week he'll be right up front, and you want him to know what that dropper feels like. You want him to understand it. You have to make
Yeah.
every pigeon feel like he's a winner.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Every single bird that comes. And we got into conversation about these combines only allowing people to clock 5 birds. Uh, every pigeon that comes from a race, from a toss, is a winner. He he thinks he's a winner, you know. So don't discard him.
Yeah.
Make him feel good.
And I'm not getting it back into the Eastern Ontario Combine, but
No.
I think they're about the most porous sports I ever seen. You know what? They should not one of them there, that committee there, not one of them should have a pigeon because they don't respect their pigeons. They don't care for their pigeons, and you know what? Who cares if we clock them or not? We just got to stop other people from clocking them. I'm not getting back into the Eastern Ontario shit show. Forget that, because good old Bob Waterfall, you know what he did? He did nothing. He showed exactly you got to be related to Trudeau. Useless. Absolutely useless. Mike Vanderyak says we need a rule to limit the number of droppers. Hey, believe it or not, it's technically it's a cheat, man. It really is. It's a cheat. Same thing with lowering your landing boards. Instead of having flat landing boards like this, flat, you tilt your landing boards so the pigeons have to run up it. Your birds clock quicker as well. And if you put bigger cubed wire on your landing boards and you have the pad, the birds will go to the pad, the first birds, because they won't like the feel of the wire. These are
So
all little cheats,
what
man.
about like if you had a maple tree in your backyard and you cut it down to make it easier for the bird to hit the board? Would that be cheating?
Mm-mm. No, that would just be a lot of extra work that you didn't need to do because the pigeon will just go around the tree anyways. Uh,
Oh yeah. Uh,
but you know, it's the winter time season, and people are thinking, oh, what do I do differently this year than I did last year? What do I do differently? Well, if you haven't tried droppers, go ahead and try them. If you haven't tried love pairing, why don't you try it?
that's right. Try it.
And another thing, if you're somebody that is feeding feed, you buy a bag of feed from Buyers or Versalaga or Edwards or Van Roe, whatever you're buying, okay, it's in the mix. Whatever's in the mix, and your
Well,
birds don't eat.
watch out. We found out from Versalaga, they got a lot of those little black bugs in there.
Yeah,
And I
okay,
don't like that. When you're paying big money for feed,
okay. Well,
that's what turned us off about the whole Versalaga deal.
okay. Well, yeah. But what I'm saying is, if your birds don't eat peas or don't eat wheat or don't eat this, the birds are just telling you you're not feeding correctly. You're overdoing it. Everything is overdone. So pigeons have to eat what you give them, and that's what it is. You have to teach, you have to learn that yourself on how to feed pigeons. Now, breeding and feeding, you don't have to overfeed your breeders, but when you feed them, there should always be a little bit left. But when you go back, it's all cleaned up. Feed them, there's a little bit left, walk away. Come back 2, 3, 4, 5 hours later. Oh, it's all gone. Feed them again, a little bit left, and you teach yourself how to feed them. You don't just dump it out and there's 500 peas rolling around on the ground and you make up some bullshit excuse that they don't like the peas. No, no, no. They love the peas. Peas are one of their favorites. They're like grapes. Who doesn't like grapes or raisinets or almonds? We love them all, chocolate covered. Fantastic. Learn how to feed. There's an art to it. Pigeon racing is a big art. It's pigeon and it's man or woman. It's all
Excuse me.
together.
I think you're 100% right. I think pigeon keeping, if you're a roller man or a tippler flying man or any of these, uh, I know Dominic, my friend in the fantails, he was gone. He had to go in a hospital. He said, "Can you take care of my birds?" He said, "You just put that feed in there, and if that feed's not gone, don't feed anymore." I mean, that's a professional pigeon person, pigeon keeper, same as a roller man. If those things aren't, they got to be half starved to be healthy. I'm not saying feeding youngsters, but flying birds, they got to be like right on. Same as a tippler man, they got to be like right by the ounce, by the teaspoon. And if you can't, if you don't know that art, some people have never ever learned that art. They've always thought we just dump food in and we walk out, and that's part. No, there's an art to feeding pigeons, whether you're a show fantail man, or a racing pigeon man, or a tippler man, or a roller man. There's the art of feeding pigeons.
Yeah, and you want to know what? In the off season is a good time to practice or learn or try some things. You can do that, but you know what? There's all little things to think to yourself. Well, what am I gonna do this season that I didn't do last season, or what do I want to adjust, or what do I think is wrong, or what have I heard that might work that I want to try? David Tracy says, I take alfalfa pellets, grind them up into powder, blend them, and then put oil on the feed and alfalfa powder on the feed, and they get greens. Oh, there's a good idea. There's a good idea. And if you got a chicken grinder, a feed grinder, it works real good because it'll
I,
grind it up to dust.
yeah, I don't know if you have to grind the alfalfa pellets. The birds will, they're a little larger than a rabbit pellet, I think.
Yeah.
They'll eat them. Like I've seen pigeons eating peanuts with the shells on. I've seen people in the park. I couldn't believe it. They were cracking a peanut in half with the shell on, not, the raw peanut, not shell peanuts, shell on, throwing it, and the plugs were popping the whole shell and peanut in. Like, it's incredible what a pigeon will eat if he's used to it. He's trained to eat it. Like I said a few years ago, I said, I go and get French fries with gravy on it, and they'll eat that.
But at the end of the day, you gotta work on try and work on the things that you're not the best at and try to improve. That's how you improve your seasons. So
Hey, you know what? It's like it's like this. Uh, if kids aren't familiar with eating spinach, they never get to eat spinach. But in my family, all my kids will eat spinach because they're used to eating spinach. But if I get those kids from the other family over to eat spinach, they won't eat spinach because it's, oh, what, this is spinach. So I'm
so
just saying, it's whatever you educate. I know some families, the kids only eat hot dogs, but they won't eat steak because
we
they
know.
never got introduced to steak or eat shrimp or eat whatever. It's whatever you introduce your pigeons to eat, they will become familiar with eating it. It's like some pigeons won't eat peanuts, shell peanuts. They won't eat them. It's very good for them. Other pigeons in another loft will eat shell peanuts right out of your mouth. So it's whatever you accustom your birds to live off of.
That's right. Now, um, I wanted to throw this up here. Just this week, we're gonna have a pretty busy week. I got to go do some videoing at Van Hees, so that'll be fun. I'm going to be on Wednesday at Team Van de Posh. We're going to talk to Leanna and Ricardo. We're going to do a little interview there. So we'll have that for you guys. Also on Thursday, I'm going to have live with Emil Denny's sometime in the afternoon. So that'll be good. And I'm going to go from there. It's going to be pretty busy wrapping up this week. Again, both auctions are running at Feathers Elite Pigeon Auctions. You've got Van de Posh closes this Saturday, and Emil Denny's closes on Sunday. Ricky, I'm gonna say I'm getting to the point where you know what I'm gonna say. I'm getting a little chilly here now, so what I was thinking is we're gonna wrap this up here. We've been on for an hour and a half. Good show tonight. You people participated good. Uh, Again, you can use droppers. You don't have to. Try them out, and you'll see the success, and you'll have a lot of fun doing it. Ricky, anything
Yeah,
else you
yeah,
want to say
yeah.
before I wrap
Have
this
a
up?
lot of fun. No, next week I'll bring out some droppers. Just as I'm not trying to sell droppers, just let's have some fun. Let's take a look at what I have uh, and enjoy.
Okay.
Every nest of droppers I get, it's like a surprise for me. I'm going, oh wow, look at that color. Oh wow, this is like so pretty. You know, it's and they're not show quality, so I don't have to go nuts. Going, oh, it's not the show quality. I got to get rid of it. No, no, no. I just keep it as a dropper.
Alrighty. Well, on that note, we will see you guys. Maybe tomorrow I will be on. I'll probably show a group of pigeons, probably the Vanaposh pigeons. I will show tomorrow afternoon, evening time, later into the evening for you North Americans. So check that out. And well, what day is next Monday?
God, I don't really know.
I don't
What
know.
day is that? You
What's
want me to
today's
look on the
date?
calendar? I think it's like the 21st or something,
All right. Well, we'll be able to have our family show. So
or 23rd.
23rd, 23rd.
Yeah, I
So
think so. From what
we
I
will
can
be,
see from here,
we will be on next Monday,
yeah, it's the
and
23rd. Yeah.
it'll be our special Christmas show. So I'm
Oh,
gonna go
that's
have
beautiful.
I'm gonna wrap this
Yeah.
up, guys. That's Ricky. I'm Ryan. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for your participation, and check out these auctions. I think you guys are gonna really be happy. Check out the Murphy's Law. Check out the Super Breeders from Emil Denny's. Yes, they're there. They've, they're proven one loft breeding winners. The Dark Army lives on. Ricky, I'm gonna say have a good evening. I'll
Have a
talk
good
with you
one.
later. All right. Bye for now.
Yep. Bye.